Hi, I'm Preston, and every Tuesday we have these Stroke Buddies Recovery and Science Zoom meetings. And today we have with us Jill Stein. And Jill's a recent new member to our community, but a very valued one. And she made a very good recovery, and she became a sound healer after her stroke. And so today we're going to let Jill tell a little bit about her story, her recovery, how she found sound healing, a little bit about how it works, and maybe even time for a short demo. So welcome, Jill, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for having me, Ralph.
No problem. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what happened to you and how you dealt with it?
Sure. So maybe we should mute for background noise.
That'd be a good idea.
Okay. So I had my stroke 9 years ago. It was just after my 44th birthday. It was quite a shock, as I think it is for many of us. I was in the best shape of my life, personal trainer, fitness instructor, exercising, teaching about 10 classes a week. So it was very surprising that it happened, but it did. And I am very lucky to be in Chicago and have access to amazing medical care and an amazing rehab hospital. So I 3 mornings a week while I continued working, because that was what was the best thing for me mentally. I did rehab, I did PT, I did OT, I did speech therapy because I choked on everything, whether it was water, my own saliva, all kinds of food. I never thought I would be able to eat mixed textured food again, but most of the time I do pretty well with that now. But I was really lucky that I had access to such amazing care here in Chicago. And I was really fortunate that I had a very physically demanding job that I needed to fight to get back to being able to do. And my therapist kept telling me that I needed to be able to do it to be able to do it. And so I started teaching again two of my classes, 3 weeks after my stroke, left side affected. And that was because I needed to do the work to be able to recover and teach. So even though it was really, really hard for me, and I was doing therapy all during that time, I started teaching 2 classes, and then I, slowly added on more and more back to my full regimen of classes, and doing my classes, making sure that I could do the routines really helped me. So in addition to doing the therapy that I was doing, with the professionals, I was doing a lot of therapy on myself all the time. 2 days after I got home from the hospital, I tried out a Zumba routine to see if I could do it. And I really couldn't. My left leg, my left hip, my left ankle, foot did not want to do the steps. I don't know how many people are familiar with Zumba, but it is very step heavy in terms of dance fitness format, lots of choreography with steps with your feet. And it frustrated me to no end that I couldn't just do my routines the way I had always been able to do it. I've been an athlete my entire life, and I'm pretty competitive, I have to say. So I was really, really driven to be able to get back to doing my routines and being able to just do whatever I wanted to or needed to do for myself, for work. So I worked really, really hard every single day, both on my own, at class, and in therapy. Every day I fought really hard to get back. And after I did therapy for 10 months, and then insurance would no longer cover my therapy. And so I kept working really, really hard on my own. And I would say about a year out from my stroke, which was left side affected, I was probably about 90% back. I just fought really hard. That's what I can say.
Interesting, because I have a similar story in that I'm a videographer, and I didn't cancel any of my video jobs. I just kept showing up like you did to your exercise classes and trying. I also worked hard every single day, all day, every single day for about 15 months. And probably by 9 months or a year, I was a lot like you. I'd gotten back at least 90%. So any of the people that are new out there, think about that in terms of what it takes. If you want to get back quick and you want to get back all the way, it takes a tremendous amount of work. I can't stress that enough. You can get better going to therapy one day a week, but it's going to take a lot longer. So one thing that I was also lucky to do was I got to some level of acceptance and decent attitude. I mean, I fought depression some. I was on antidepressants for about 18 months, but obviously you dealt with the whole mental side of things, which is difficult when you have your life turned upside down. Would you talk a little bit about that journey and the mental journey in addition to the physical one?
Absolutely. I sought out help right away in the medical practice that I worked within at work. I had access to amazing therapists who made a great recommendation for me for somebody who worked with chronic, devastating illnesses. And she was my lifeline, because I can tell you that I didn't even have a chance to process the fact that I had a stroke when they were telling me that for the first 4 to 6 months after my stroke that I might need to have open heart surgery. So that did not end up being the case. Thankfully, I was really fortunate about that, but I have this little tag on the inside of my aortic valve, and it wasn't small and it wasn't large. It was a nice medium size. And so they were really watching it because they thought that was where the clot was thrown from. And they thought that maybe another clot would break off from that. And so I did lots of transesophageal echocardiograms, which if anyone else has done those, they know how unpleasant that is, but it just is. But I was really fortunate that over time that actually got smaller. And so they considered it to be not a risk. And so, so I kind of had a lot thrown at me at once, not just the trauma of having a stroke when I was young and healthy, but that maybe I might need to have the surgery to take that out from my heart. And so the only thing that I could do was keep going. Like, I am just wake up tomorrow's a new day, go at it, do as much as you can do, and just enjoy your day as much as you can. All the little things throughout your day, find things to be grateful for. I really believe in that. I was really fortunate that my mother came and spent 3 months with us to help me because I couldn't drive for 4 months. And I have 2 children. And I was working full time with no break for my stroke. But that was what kept me going was I made sure I had the support that I needed. I had an amazing therapist, and she was my lifeline. Absolutely. When I was dealing with the trauma of having the stroke and the threat of the open heart surgery, and just dealing with the fact that had happened to me out of the blue, so unexpected. And I had an amazing family support, and my work community was incredibly supportive. And I had a very demanding job that I really wanted to fully do. And that kept me grounded too. But I also, just to give you an example, 2 weeks after my stroke, I ran a work event for 250 patients.
Wow.
So I was so busy. I was such a busy mom, busy at work, busy wife, busy life. So I just threw myself back into my life. I just didn't take time out because that was what worked for me. And it's not to say that I didn't do what I needed to do to care for myself, but for me, just diving back into life was what helped.
That's the way I felt about it also. Now, none of us have great days every single day. What was your strategy for when you weren't having a great day?
You know what? Tomorrow's always a new day. I just have always had that kind of glass half full mentality. I'm very much we can always learn something from difficult experiences. Like, what can we take away from this? That's just my nature. Fortunately, I know that I'm fortunate with that. And I just strive to just, honestly, the gift of being able to wake up every day for me is a big deal. And it was, it makes you reevaluate things when you have such a devastating health experience. It just made me more grateful, honestly, for my family and my community. So
I did something similar. I tried not to. I'm a glass half full. Wake up every morning ready to go type. And when I didn't, I just tried basically to. Well, I get back in touch with the fact that I lived and things like that. Try not to string too many. Try and respond the next day and not have too many bad days in a row. Because I found if I started stringing them together, it seemed to get worse rather than better. So I think you told me that you discovered sound and sound healing before your stroke. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I did. So I discovered sound healing about 5 years before my stroke. I was working at Northwestern Memorial Hospital, and the Cleveland Clinic came to us and did a cancer patient conference. Half of the conference was for the patients, half was for the providers. And they came into our office and did a presentation on sound healing because they, at the Cleveland Clinic, have been using sound healing with their cancer patients for many, many years. I was just so taken with it. I was so excited about it. And I immediately looked into how can I learn about this? How can I get certified to be a sound healer? And at that time, that was in 2010, you had to travel, across the world and spend, a lot of money to get certified to be a sound healer. And so that just wasn't something that I could do in my life. And so I, like Danny was mentioning, found music that really spoke to me, and that made me feel so good. My Zumba music, all my kind of favorite music. I love classical music. So I'm somebody that listens to music all the time. And so I kind of found my own ways of using music to feel good, to boost mood, to just encourage me and keep going. And then came COVID, and all of a sudden, all of these wonderful, trainings were available online that had never been available online before. And I found a sound healing certification, and I immediately snapped it up and did that. That was 2 years ago. And I just love it so much. It makes me feel so good when I'm playing my instruments. And I love sharing it with other people because I see how good it makes them feel. By the end of our sessions, they're so relaxed, they're calm. I have people that regularly have, are in pain. They have chronic pain, and they have reduced or no pain by the end of our sessions. It's pretty astounding. So I love what it does for me. It makes me feel so good. And I love what it does for my community that I share it with.
So that was about 4 or 5 years after your stroke that COVID hit.
5, yeah.
Yeah. So once you found certification and such, how did you use it with yourself in addition to sharing it?
So for myself, if I have days where I'm feeling particularly, stressed or anxious about something, I'll take out my bowls, I'll take out my tuning forks, and I'll just play for myself because I find it very soothing. It's a self-soothing technique for sure. I'm not someone that's particularly anxious, and we all have our days where we're having a harder time. And so that's one of the ways that I support myself. And I just started using my instruments with my personal training clients. I have a couple communities of older adults that I work with in Chicago where I do fitness and wellness classes. And so I started doing sound healings for those groups. And they've just been really responsive to it. They have really enjoyed it. And so keep doing it. And then fortunately, this summer, I found Angelia, and she introduced me to Stroke Buddies. So here I am.
Well, we're glad that all happened.
Thank you. Me too.
My computer died yesterday, and so I'm on my phone and I can't see anything like I normally do. Somebody I think they just saw a question flash by about any of the science or theory behind sound healing. I don't know how much you know about that, but I figure I'd pass that on. Anybody out there is also welcome to unmute themselves and ask a question or participate in the discussion. We just ask that you not unmute yourself unless you want to participate because of all kinds of things, barking dogs and mailmen and whatever. So how do you know anything much about how it works?
I do. So sound has been used, in every human culture in our history. Started with things like instruments that they could make out of, bones, like flutes or drums, where they would stretch the skins and, use sticks, singing. We all know that there's music that makes us feel so good. That's just a natural human reaction to music. We all know that there's songs that make us feel really good and other songs that maybe irritate us or make us feel angry, right? Or other sounds or vibrations that we don't enjoy. And so the vibrational instruments that are used in sound healing are either traditional instruments that have been used for sound healing in so many ancient cultures, or they're things that have been created specifically to be used for sound healing because they have beautiful sounds that we respond to positively. And so, the bowls, for instance, are blown glass quartz crystal, and these are music quality instruments. So they're tested for sound. Each one is a different frequency. This set is a chakra set. So all of these instruments are created to respond positively, to our bodies. And what happens is vibration travels through the water in our cells. So that's one thing I always recommend, is making sure people are well hydrated for sound healings, because it feels more pleasant to have that vibration moving through us when we're well hydrated, but it also moves through us even more effectively when we're well hydrated. There's been a lot of studies on music, on sound healing, that shows the positive effects that it has on lowering blood pressure, lowering heart rate, lowering scores in terms of anxiety and depression. It improves blood flow. There's all kinds of amazing studies on how our bodies respond to music. And so, in my opinion, it's about finding music that makes each individual person feel good, whether it's these vibrational instruments, whether it's acoustic instruments, whether it's vocal, if it's singing. I think every single one of us right now immediately can find something that comes to mind in terms of music, some kind of music that makes us feel so good, or that has a positive association for us. So it's not anything magical. It's just, we are hardwired for music. Our brains are hardwired for music. And so we, as human animals, love music.
Wait, I have a question.
Sure.
Is there a number of cups or glasses one needs to drink to get hydrated before you start your healing process?
So everybody's a little bit different in terms of how much water they need. Hydration is a whole huge topic that I talk about a lot with my clients. It's really about drinking enough so that you don't feel parched in your lips, your mouth. Everybody should be checking the color of their urine when they go to the bathroom. You might want to not want to think about that, or that might be an odd thing to hear me say. But honestly, it's just information about our bodies, and our urine should be light yellow to maybe clear in the latter half of the day. Those are indications whether we're thinking about how our mouth, our tongue, and our lips and our throat feel, or what color our urine is. Those are really good indications of how hydrated we are. Your urine should not be dark, period.
I have a simple question, if I can.
Mm-hmm.
When you focus on the sound healing, is it strictly sound, or do you try to incorporate simple things like a motor movement where you're listening to the sound, but also trying to squeeze a stress ball to maybe get some compounding and healing effects of using your motor function while in absorbing, if you will, the sound?
So that's an interesting, we were talking at the very beginning, Danny, about the neurologic music therapy. And so they do that in the neurologic music therapy, where they are pairing sound, especially with a specific rhythm, with contraction of muscles, whether it's upper body, whether it's speech and singing, or whether it's walking. So I don't do that myself, but the neurologic music therapy therapists do that.
That makes sense.
Yes, I agree with you. So if you haven't had a chance to see those meetings or those videos, definitely go look at those on Ralph's YouTube channel. It's
Okay.
pretty awesome.
Okay.
Thank you for asking.
Yeah, that would be an interesting idea. Would be to of course, I know a bunch of neurologic music therapists, and it would be interesting to maybe talk about how to implement NMT using sound healing and your instruments. If you're interested, I can put that together.
I would agree, because I know listening to music while standing on a 3-inch foam board is quite challenging for my visual spatial deficits. That's why I asked the question.
Right. And I would encourage people to use it how it feels good to them. The way that I usually teach on the sound healing, it's more of a meditative calming practice when I do it. So I start with a verbal meditation, and I'll do, it's all guided. It's breath work, it's muscle relaxation, it's body awareness, it's mindfulness, and then I go into the instruments. And so my practice is much more of a calming, taking, that amount of time to just kind of let down and let go and de-stress. So that's how I use the practice in particular.
We need people to mute themselves.
It's gonna be Gabriel.
Okay.
So this is really about more calming the nervous system, the parasympathetic state,
Exactly.
and being more mindful and aware, if you will. That's great. That's good.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the way that I use the practice. That's the way typically sound healing is used, is for a calming practice. And that's why people get lessening anxiety, lessening thoughts of depression, and also less pain or no pain at the end of the sessions. So
Have you noticed with any of the people or clients you've worked with any reports of reduced spasticity or less intense spasticity? I'm curious.
what I have gotten from stroke survivors so far is that for people who have little to no sensation in a hand, they will feel the vibration of the instruments in that affected limb. And so that is something that I have heard a couple times, which I think is amazing, and
Yeah,
gets
that's
me so
fascinating.
excited about
that's
the potential for this format for stroke survivors specifically.
That is fascinating. I'm 4.5 years out. I have no sensation on the left side of my scalp down to the left toes. Absolutely nothing.
Okay.
That's kind of like what I was saying earlier when I was talking about those medical studies with hearing the organs and using sound frequency. So certain parts will detect the frequencies and they will change how they actually operate based on the interaction itself.
Mm-hmm. And I find that everybody responds to different instruments. For instance, some people are very responsive to the tuning forks, which all have specific, I have 9 tuning forks, each with a different frequency. Some people respond to the bowls. I have 8 different bowls, each one a different pitch. They're all chakra bowls. And so some people find that that's the thing. Other people find, that my rain stick is something that they really respond to. Some people like the gongs. I have different drums that I wasn't going to show today, but everybody's unique. Different things work for different people. And so I try to offer a variety so that hopefully there's something that feels good. There's a one particular thing that people can say, wow, I really noticed that, that particular thing felt really good to me. I felt that, in my affected limb. I felt calm. I felt relaxed afterwards,
Danny, didn't you have some experience with this, with that type of reaction listening to cello? I believe you
Initially, it
told
was cello music for me. I noticed that my entire left side, the deficit side, was involuntary twitching. I mean, everything, my shoulder all the way down to my ankle. And it was the deeper cello notes, which were very different than typical music that I would listen to. But as far as regaining sensation, unfortunately, I've got nothing. But now I'm really thinking about focusing hard and consistently on this sound therapy. But I did notice an involuntary movement when it hit certain notes. I mean, I literally couldn't control it. I just
Yeah.
allowed my body to feel it and experience it. And afterwards, maybe a couple hours later, I did feel a deeper sense of just calmness and relaxation. But that was completely by accident. I mean, I literally just threw earbuds in. But to this day, I cannot walk with earbuds in and listen to music, but I can walk cane assist 3 miles in under an hour. There's some weird vestibular spatial thing going on. So that's why I was asking, do you combine like sound therapy with things like squeezing a ball or standing on a foam board, which again, that's a little risky for me.
Right.
I just need
I
to get
feel
back
like
to
the
this.
neurologic music therapy would be really valuable for you to explore.
Yeah, but I think this as well is more of a calming meditative mindfulness is
Right.
just as helpful. So
Different benefits.
exactly.
Yes. All right.
well, the cello produces real deep sound, and you said something about it was the deeper notes that your body responded to,
Mhm.
and they would have deeper notes. I believe would have different but more vibration. And cello produces a fair amount of vibration anyway compared to some other instruments.
Tibetan bowls are also for me very calming. I have no idea why, but I enjoy.
Yep.
I guess is that what they call them? Tibetan bowls. It's like
The Tibetan or the metal bowls.
it's a metal bowl.
Yeah, I have a small one. For me, my head prefers the glass bowls.
Oh,
But everybody's different in terms of what they respond to. I get quite bad migraines, and so sometimes I have trouble with the metal instruments. For me, it's just a harder
sharp.
vibration to tolerate sometimes.
Mhm.
So, but I love the Tibetan bowls from a distance, and especially when I don't have a migraine. But I decided for me that wasn't the right thing for me to play.
I guess I never realized they make glass bowls. Now you got me curious as to
Yeah.
what that sounds like.
I'm gonna
So
play them for you today.
Oh, thank you. Great
Yeah.
segue.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you, Danny. It was a great
Thank you.
segue.
No, thank you, Jill.
So this does seem like a good time to move into the sound healing portion of today. And then we have an exciting announcement at the end of the session today. So don't tune out before you hear that, okay, for Thursdays. So we'll talk about that at the end. But I'll start with a little bit of the mindfulness. I find that kind of sets the mood and makes people more receptive to taking in the sounds of the instrument. So I would ask everybody to A, mute themselves, and B, to get as comfortable as you can. And I would say remove glasses or hats or shoes or anything that you might find distracting during this practice, because we're really going to try to let down a little bit and relax. So you can close your eyes or soften your gaze if you like. You can sit or you can recline, whatever's preferred for you. And if everybody could make sure that they're muted, I would appreciate that. So right now I'm going to ask you to find awareness in terms of your body and the furniture that you're on. Just feeling those pressure points behind your back, your hips, your glutes, the backs of your thighs, your calves, your heels, and maybe your feet grounded into the floor. I'm going to ask you to tune into your breath right now without changing it. Notice in your body where you're feeling your breath. Are you feeling your belly rise? Your rib cage expand on the inhale? Are you feeling your chest move?
Recording in progress.
Do you feel the air moving in and out of your nose? Is your breathing smooth and rhythmic, or shallow and uneven? Just noticing without judgment and without trying to change it. We're just doing mindfulness right now, paying attention. I'm going to ask you to tune into your thoughts right now and notice if you have any hesitations or judgments that may prevent you from experiencing today and just being able to take it in without judgment and noticing how you feel at the end. If you're having any distracting thoughts, hesitations, or judgments, imagine that there are clouds in the sky and notice them, then let them drift on by. Anytime where you get distracted or need an anchor, return to your breath. Focus on where you feel that in your body. We're going to do a body scan right now, just noticing how your body's feeling. In any areas where you're noticing tension or discomfort, I'm going to ask you to consciously release those muscles and allow the tension to drain out of your body. Starting at the crown of your head, your scalp, your face, your jaw, your neck, relaxing your muscles. Scanning through your shoulders, through your upper arms, elbows, forearms, wrists, hands, and fingers. Letting go. Scanning your chest, your belly, and your back. Your hips, your glutes, your upper legs, down through your knees. Scanning your shins, your calves, your ankles, your feet, and your toes. On your next exhale, allow any remaining tension in your body to melt out of your muscles, down through your furniture. Imagine that tension traveling down through the building, all the way down through the foundation until it disperses into the earth, leaving you feeling soft, comfortable, muscles heavy, and relaxed. Find a gentle rhythm of breath, and even in and out without forcing, comfortable and smooth. Imagine your breath like waves breaking on a beach, Inhale as the waves travel up the beach, and exhale as the waves recede in a smooth, flowing rhythm with as little effort as possible.
Yes.
Moving on to instruments. If you could please mute your mic.
How you doing? Okay.
Moving on to instruments. I'm going to ask everybody to tune into themselves once more and notice how you're feeling right now at the end of our practice, mind, body, and spirit. Notice any possible shifts that have occurred for you during this practice. On your next inhale, let's do an energizing breath where you allow the belly to rise and fill and the rib cage to expand in all directions. And a gentle release and relax on the exhale. One more time. Inhale, belly rise, rib cage expand in all directions. And a gentle release and relax. When you're ready, start with some small movements in your fingers, your toes, your hands, and your feet. You can start to move and stretch however it feels good to you. Just listen to your body right now. Maybe you want to inhale and reach up and stretch. And when you're ready, just exhale and relax. And start to gently and slowly open your eyes when you're ready. Does anyone have any questions for me or anything that they'd like to share?
I noticed you have a couple different techniques of striking and then going around the bowls produce a different sound.
Yes. So the bowls, you want them to vibrate enough, but not too much. And you need to start the vibration. And so you need a little bit of a strike to start the vibration. But once they start vibrating too much, it can not feel good to us, but also it can damage the bowls. And so if I do a quick little strike on them, it stops the heavy vibration and kind of calms the bowls down, because not only can they damage themselves, but they can damage the other bowls around them. So it's about kind of finding that happy medium where you're finding, nice sounds coming out of the bowls and they're not too intense and they're not too quiet. So I also I play intuitively. It's really just kind of what's feeling good. And the whole purpose of it is to produce sounds that are soothing and enjoyable to listen to.
This was absolutely fascinating. For 4.5 years, I've been trying to tell my therapist the difference between what I call self-described low frequency, medium frequency, and high frequency vibrations that I always feel on my affected side while doing exercises. And I can say without a shadow of a doubt, every vibration level you hit, whether it was that initial high pitched or the lower, deeper ones,
Mm-hmm.
I was literally feeling them on my affected side. And the fascinating part is my right side, I didn't feel a thing. It was just my affected side. I felt this energy on the initial hit my inside left elbow. It would resonate up to my shoulder, back down to my forearm, and I would find myself just magically, without even thinking, opening my fingers, and it was like the energy was just releasing out of my hand. It was bizarrely relaxing.
That's amazing. Thank
Oh
you
my
so much
goodness.
for sharing that.
I literally would feel these vibrations. Like I said, the initial hit in the elbow, the deeper vibrations up through the shoulder,
Going up.
and then they would subtly go back down and almost through my fingers. Oh my gosh, that was incredible. And those
That's
are glass
wonderful.
bowls?
These are blown glass quartz crystal bowls. Yes.
That is absolutely fascinating. Wow, I'm a believer.
I'm glad.
And the sad part is no one can really understand this unless you experience it, unless you have a damaged
No,
side where you have
it's
your
true.
nerve damages and no sensation,
Yeah.
which it's unfortunate that you have to be that neurologically damaged to feel that in tune and that in touch with it, you know?
Right.
We
Wow,
have
thank you so much for this.
You're welcome.
we have a few questions in the chat. Nito would like to know what frequency are you using? And I can't see the full comment. I can't. That's annoying. What are the different frequencies for different parts of the brain? So the question is, what frequency are you using and what part of the brain does it affect, if you know?
Got it. So with the bowls, those are musical notes. There's low C to high C, and those are specifically more targeted to the different chakras. Like the red is the root at the base of the spine. The orange is the the belly button. The yellow is the solar plexus. The green is the heart. The blue is the base of the throat. The teal color is the third eye chakra. And the dark purple is the crown. And the white bowl is the chakra that's supposed to kind of be just above us, that connects us to the universe, the spiritual, whatever you believe in, that's greater than you or greater than us. The tuning forks are interesting because each of them has a specific hertz. So the largest one, which was that deepest sound at the beginning, is a 174. And then I have the next one up is 285, 396, 417, 528, 639, 741, 852, and 963. And in terms of what part of the brain, I wouldn't be able to answer that question, but people are noticing that they're feeling, different instruments, especially on their affected side. Some people find that the higher notes they feel more. Some people find the lower notes or what they feel more, the higher pitch or the lower pitch. So honestly, I think it's very individual as to how our bodies and our brains interact with the music. But I think everybody feels something that they either feel a physical sensation or that they're more attracted to, that feels better for them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not a scientist either, but the one thing that I do know about music from NMT and music in general is that music opens up your brain like nothing else. And when they hook you up to lots of sensors, the sensor caps and things, and play music, it opens up almost all parts of your brain. Your brain lights up in a way that it doesn't for anything else. So yeah. I don't know which frequencies might affect which part, but all frequencies and all music seem to engage the brain in a way that it isn't normally engaged. One thing I've noticed from doing breath music for breath class was a lot of the music had specific frequencies. So somebody's paying attention to which frequencies possibly do what for different results, but I don't know. I just remember seeing that it often had the number of hertz on the various sound clips that we played in breath class. Mm-hmm. That's my 2 cents.
And I wanted to mention that if you all enjoyed the sound healing portion today, that I am doing sound healings once a month for stroke buddies. And the next one is on Monday, September 30th. And that'll be in the Breath Lady Project page. So make sure that you are part of that page if you're interested in joining the monthly sessions for sound healing. And then Ralph also posts those on his YouTube channel afterwards. He's posted 2 of my sound healings on the YouTube channel already, so you can go take advantage of those. I want to make sure that we have time to announce for Thursday. So announcing today that I'll be doing a strength and balance after stroke class for stroke buddies starting this Thursday, the 19th, and that will be at 11 a.m. Eastern time. And so there will be more information coming out for that. And that's going to be a weekly class. And that can be modified for anybody's needs. People can sit for the entire class. They can sit and stand. They can stand. And I would recommend that you either have some free weights available, weights you can hold in your hand, or you have 2 water bottles, or 2 equal size weights for your hands. Or if your affected side, you need a lower weight. Your unaffected side, you need a higher weight. That's okay too. But maybe have something that you can use for resistance for that class. And for people who can't do that or don't have something, of course, you can do it without. You can move. So that's going to be happening starting this week. So I hope you all will join.
I need to promote that. That'll be interesting without my computer, but I'll figure it out. And I just want to say to everybody out there who might consider taking that class, I would encourage them to do it. It was last week I asked Jill if I could join her class in another location, well, it was on Zoom, but she was doing it with somewhere else.
Right.
And I was able to do all of it without adaptations, and but that doesn't mean that it can't all be done in a chair. And I thought you did a really good job, Jill, of offering adaptations and constantly throughout the session. Jill said stuff like, well, if you can't do this, here's how you can do it. And it all can be done in a chair. I believe there was 1 or 2 older women that were pretty much in the chair, and they enjoyed it and seemed to have it. So I got a good workout from it. Didn't make me sore the next day or anything, which I was a little surprised because I hadn't done anything like that in a while. And I'll be doing it, and I would encourage everybody to give it a try. Don't be scared of it. Because if you do it in the chair, there isn't any balance issues. The chair takes balance out of the equation.
You can do it a lot. You can do a lot in a chair if you can't stand. So there's a lot of benefit you can get.
Well, just like yoga for me, I started in the chair and I moved to holding on to the chair, and now I'm not using the chair. And the same thing could happen for you in exercise and balance class, but only if you give it a shot.
Right. Did someone have a question?
Yeah. Judy Varro has asked in the chat, is there a cost for the exercise class?
It's donations. So if you're able to donate something, wonderful. And if you're not, that's okay. I'm here for the group. So the donations help us, continue to offer these kind of programs, and it's for everybody, whether they can contribute or not.
Well, and we certainly appreciate it. And I would encourage anybody who
Absolutely
can to donate. One other thing is all Jill's information will be in the description underneath this video if you want to contact her. She also does one-on-one sessions, both in sound healing and in personal training.
Yes.
So that's an option. You can always reach out to her if you have any further questions or want to contact her or engage her. So you have that option, and we I'll speak for the whole community. We really appreciate you bringing both of these to us and for sharing your time and knowledge with us today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joe.
Very welcome. Thank you for having me today.
I have one more nerd question. So you said before you primarily use Cs. Are you using just octaves and bouncing, or are you playing in the key of C and sticking to a scale? So are you playing in C major? What are you using the other notes part of that?
So this is the bowls are a full scale from high C to low C and the
Right.
notes in between. So
Yeah.
there's 8 bowls. And so
So is there any sharps or flats, or is it all
it's
whole
not.
notes? So
No.
yeah, C major. Yeah.
Right.
Cool.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just the major scale of C.
So,
I had a comment to make. Jill, I have a comment to make. It's not really a question, but it's I guess to think of is that when you're doing the bowls and the sounds are happening and we are concentrating, are supposed to be relaxed and concentrating. The importance of being able to concentrate is so important for I have sometimes I have these prickles in my skin, or like bugs crawling on your skin or something, some things that are interfering with your concentration. So sometimes it's not easy to concentrate and take yourself away, to where we're supposed to be. But I wanted to thank you because the more things that we do involve ourselves and try to open up our mind and try to concentrate, the better. So I wanted to thank you for that. And I was with Danny too when he first mentioned his comment. That was the last time as well when I felt through the tip of my finger to my heart. And I just wanted to say that I know what you're talking about, Danny. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And I want to let you all know that that is normal to get distracted either by sensations or by external sounds or thoughts. That is really normal when you're doing a meditative session to get distracted by something. And so using your breath as an anchor point where when you're ready to re-engage, which sometimes we need a little break. Sometimes we just need to step away for a little while. That's okay. That's normal. And so when we're ready to re-engage, using your breath, just not trying to change it, but just tuning back into where am I feeling my breath in my body? What does it feel like? What's the rhythm? Just kind of asking yourself some questions like, is it smooth? What do I feel? That helps us because our breath is always there, whether we're focusing on it or not, it's happening automatically. So that's always a good place to re-engage gently is through our breath and then try to kind of settle back into it. But really, it's really about just respecting yourself and noticing when you need to kind of step out for a little bit or when you're trying to actively re-engage and refocus. And so definitely I recommend using your breath to do that.
I agree. And if I could just add real briefly to that last statement, I think this is opening up a curious next approach for me, where if the vibration becomes too overwhelming for me, I might try to take my good side hand and just gently touch the area that's getting a little overstimulated or over vibration that's maybe distracting me, just to see if I can temporarily dampen the sensation.
That's a great idea.
I might try it.
I think intuitively, a lot of times we know what we need if we just listen internally. And so I think that's a wonderful idea to try that. I think your body's telling you something that might be a helpful tool for you and that you're listening.
Yeah, I think for this session, it was really nice. It was just a very high frequency, but I was getting close to almost becoming overly distracted. So I think next time, if I feel myself getting to that level, I might just gently just try to touch and see if it calms things down.
Absolutely. The other thing you can do is you can always turn the volume down on your computer device, or if you're using headphones and it becomes too much, you can take those out, because it is more intense when you're using headphones and the sound is going directly into your ears. So definitely volume control can be a really helpful thing too.
That was my next thought. I'm glad you mentioned that. I might probably put earphones in next time just to see.
Yep, absolutely. Does anyone else have a question or a comment? I really appreciate you all sharing your experiences and how this is affecting you, because I'm learning from your experience and it's very different. The feedback that I've gotten from you all is very different than I've gotten from other participants that have taken the sound healings with me. So I really enjoy learning about how it's happening for you, what it feels like. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you for sharing your talents.
Oh, thank you. So happy to be a part of this community. I had never found a stroke support group for myself, so this has been wonderful for me too.
Well, we're glad it's a two-way street, and want to thank you again for talking to us and showing us today, and more importantly, for becoming rather quickly a vital member of the whole community. We all appreciate it. I speak for everybody.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for joining today. And I look forward to seeing a lot of you on Thursday, I hope.
Do all you can with what you have, in the time you have, in the place you are. Do all you can. Do all you can.